I'm Matt Carey, documentary editor at Deadline.com. We're in the Deadline studio at Sundance with director Lana Wilson. The film is Look Into My Eyes. Look into my eyes and tell me
And a
about your film.
staring contest.
You're premiering in the premiere section.
hmm
And well, tell us about your film. It's about a group of psychics in New York City.
Yes, it's a group of New York City psychics who conduct deeply intimate readings with their clients. And at the beginning of the film, we're plunged into the sessions, but over the course of the film, we get to know the psychics. We learn about their shared backgrounds in the performing arts in many cases, their shared experiences with loss and loneliness. And ultimately, it's a film about how we as humans need witnesses in order to better see ourselves.
How did you get interested in this subject?
It actually happened the day after Trump's election. I was depressed, sad, horrified, really concerned about the future in the most literal sense. I'd never been to a psychic before, and I'd been filming election night in Atlantic City, and I was waiting that morning for my ride to go back to New York City, where I've lived for 20 years. And I just saw a sign that said $5 psychic readings, and without even thinking, I walked in. And I pulled back this curtain. There was a table and two chairs, but no one was there. But I sat down and immediately felt incredibly emotional. And had this sensation of like that I was looking in a mirror with this sudden clarity at my own heartbroken, devastated state. And that was really powerful to me. And then the psychic came in and gave me a reading, and I felt, comforted. I don't remember exactly what she said. It was brief, but it was very gentle and nice. And I paid her $5. And as I was leaving, she said, "What do you do for a living?" I said, "I'm a documentary filmmaker." She said, "Oh, what kinds of movies?" And at that time, I was finishing this movie called The Departure. And so I said, "I'm making one about a punk rocker turned priest who helps counsel suicidal people." And the psychic said, "Sounds like my life." And I said, "What?" And she said, "People come in here with such serious situations at real crossroads in their lives you would never imagine." And I was so surprised to hear that. And that was a light bulb moment for me where I thought, I had no idea. And wouldn't it be incredible to have a film where you get to be inside these conversations and see this wash of humanity come through these rooms?
Yes, and as you say, we get to know the psychics and their stories, and it's interesting to think of them as telepaths, but in some ways they're more
hmm
empaths.
Very much. I would absolutely say they're empaths. And I actually, over the course of the film, I started feeling like I recognized a parallel process going on with what they were doing with their clients and what I try to do with my subjects. That started coming across to me, because they're holding space for their clients, they're witnessing them, they're saying your pain matters, your dreams matter. And as I got to know the psychics as people, especially, and I asked them questions about their lives, I started to think, am I sounding more and more like the psychics? But I also realized that there was value, I think, for them in my interest in them and in me witnessing them. And as I kind of thought back on my previous films, I thought, well, isn't that fundamentally why anyone would agree to be a documentary subject? It's you get someone. I am holding a mirror up to them and showing them what I see and witnessing and reflecting. And they're hearing this story about their life told back to them. And they can take parts of that story they like, they can reject parts they don't like, but it is a really meaningful experience. And it was a lot like the experience I saw in the psychic sessions.
Yes, and there are many popular depictions, naturally,
Yeah.
of psychics, often going for humor and that
Mhm.
sort of thing. And your film, at least my experience of it, it's not about are psychics for real
Right.
and whatever. It's more about whatever it is they're doing, this is a healing
Mhm.
experience for
Mhm.
people in the film.
Yeah, that's really what I saw. A lot of the psychics are connecting with dead people. And I can't tell you if dead grandma is in the room or not. I have no idea. No one, we can't all agree on what happens in the afterlife, if there is an afterlife. Those are not answers I have. But what I saw in the rooms was two people having a deep connection and either connecting to something outside of themselves or connecting in their imagination to something that was healing, as you say. Yeah.
Yes, in some cases, it's not connecting
Mhm.
necessarily with departed loved ones, but with uh, say mom or dad, and you're getting a sense of, there's some issues going on in the relationship. Someone's deeply troubled, and or in certain instances with pets.
Yeah.
There's one psychic who's particularly, that seems to be more her focus.
Yes, we have one pet psychic in the film. And I mean, there's a lot of humor in the film in general. I hope people will laugh watching it. There's a lot of wackiness and weirdness. And some of my favorite scenes are with the pet psychic. There's someone who's asking her about his lizard, who a zookeeper has absconded to New Jersey, and he has not heard from the lizard, who's named Bobby Jr. And he wants to know, is my lizard happy? And should I go to New Jersey and try to, rescue the lizard? And to my surprise, the psychic said no to both of those questions. It was not what the client wanted to hear. And I found it very interesting because it was kind of an acknowledgement of what happens when you say goodbye to people, to relationships. You have to move on and let this go. But at the same time, the emotional relationship, the connection, the impact that a person or an animal that's gone still has on you is real. So that's what the pet psychic did.
Yeah, and you can see these are very emotional reactions that people have when in those moments. And, in a sense, it's like observing a therapy session. It's super intimate and personal.
Yeah, there's a lot of overlap with therapy. And I think I was drawn to this particular group of psychics in part because they work a little at the intersection with psychotherapy. And one of them, in fact, has a counseling degree, used to be a therapist. So it to me, it's at the intersection of psychotherapy. It's also not unlike any religious belief system in that it provides a way to understand the world. And it also is in a creative, artistic experience, I would say, too.
Why do you think so many people... I was taking notes on, the backgrounds of people. Almost all of them had an interest or background in the performing arts. Some as say, writers of screenplays, but most of them theater training and interest. Why does that fit with being a psychic?
Yeah. Well, I think, when you're an actor, you're very sensitive. You're reading the other person who you're acting in a scene with, your scene partner, for example. You have to be really attuned. We talk a little bit about theater improv in the film, how great theater improv, one of the subjects says, in great theater improv, those people are absolutely communicating psychically. You could argue that. But I think it's also that artists are always trying to access their intuition. And these psychics, it makes sense to me that their background is as artists and that they're trained in doing that because then they're basically speaking what they're seeing and feeling out loud. So I think that's a big reason. But the other reason I really think is about New York City. Really. I mean, I've lived
It's a theatrical place.
Yes. I mean, to me... What I was most excited about with the film and with the people in the film is that they represent New York City to me. People, have such aspirations. They're always doing 50 projects at once. These people are they're working on books, they're writing screenplays, they're doing one-person shows sometimes. They're also doing psychic readings for free or on a sliding scale. Usually they all have day jobs. It's very New York-y. And I loved getting to be, and I think also the devotion to art is a very New York-y thing too, because the psychics themselves turned out to look to movies to understand their own lives. One psychic who talks about losing his brother in the film, his favorite movie is Ordinary People, for instance. So I really connected to that, and I think that's something that unifies a lot of New Yorkers, and the connection of loving art, being very ambitious, but also being there for other people when they need you was something I really experienced living in New York during the pandemic, especially.
Fascinating. You're with A24.
Yes.
I don't think it gets any more prestigious than to be connected with the A24 folks. So that's great news.
I'm really excited that they came on board. They've been amazing to work with and great.
Do you have any sense at this point of theatrical release for the film?
I don't know yet. Yeah, I think a lot will be figured out soon, but we'll see.
To be determined. Well, Lana Wilson, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
The film is Look Into My Eyes, premiering in the premiere section at Sundance. Thank you.
Thank you so much.